Ladies and gentlemen, dear bereaved families, Masa fellows and alumni, representatives of Keren Hayasod, UIA, Jewish Federations of North America, and Jewish Agency for Israel and Shlichim, and Masa Israel Journey, IDF soldiers, Jewish communities, and friends around the world. We stand here tonight at the Armored Corps Memorial in Latume on Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of terror, to observe the minute of silence in their memory. And while we cannot all be here tonight together in Latume, Masa fellows across Israel and Jewish communities around the world have gathered together to watch and take part in this ceremony. Wherever we are and whatever language we speak, the siren and the silence of Yom HaZikaron brings us together as one family, one people. Please rise and remain standing for the minute of silence.
משמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד נוח. משמר יעבור לדום, משמר דום. המשמר יחטיף את נשקו, החטף שק. המשמר ידגל את נשקו, דגל שק. משמר יחטיף את נשקו, החטף שק. משמר יציג את נשקו, הצג שק. משמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד נוח.
Where I'm
The lives and legacies of the heroes of the Jewish people throughout the ages illuminate our path. We walk Bedarkam, in the footsteps of those who came before us. Their example guides us on our journey. Tonight we remember the lives of the modern heroes of Jewish history, those who fell so that the state of Israel and the Jewish people could survive and thrive. Those whose determination, courage, and love serve as a shining example for the Jewish people and for all of humanity. Tonight we share the unending pain of their absence, the dream of being able to speak to them, to hold them just one more time, to tell them how much we love and miss them. We share the loss and the longing. We share their legacy and the pride in all they accomplished in their lives tragically cut short. Together with Masa fellows who choose to come to Israel this year at a challenging time for us worldwide to strengthen Israeli society, and together with the bereaved mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, friends and adopted families, fellow soldiers, community members, and everyone they touched. We remember those who walked before us and gave their lives so that we could continue the journey. We will now light the memorial torch.
המשמר יעבור לדום, משמר דום. המשמר יחטיף את נשקו, החטף, שק. המשמר ידגל את נשקו, דגל, שק. המשמר יחטיף את נשקו, החטף, שק.
Former chairman of Keren Hayasod's World Board of Trustees, Mr. David Koshitsky, will now recite the Yizkor prayer.
יזכור עם ישראל את בניו ובנותיו, הנאמנים והאמיצים, חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, וכל לוחמי המחתרות וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם, אנשי קהילות המודיעין, הביטחון, המשטרה ושירות בתי הסוהר, אשר חירפו נפשם במלחמה על תקומת ישראל, וכל מי שנרצחו בארץ ומחוצה לה, בידי מרצחים מארגוני הטרור. יזכור ישראל, ויתברך בזרעו, ויעבל על זיו הלאומים, וחמדת הגבורה וקדושת הרצון ומסירות הנפש, אשר נספים במערכה הכבדה. יהיו חללי מערכות ישראל, עטורי הניצחון, חתומים בלב ישראל לדור דור.
משמר יציג את נשקו, הצג, שק. משמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד, נוח.
There are many types of courage. The courage to charge forward and protect others. The courage to lead the way and call acharai, after me. Courage to volunteer to face danger in the night so that those at home can sleep safely. Courage to leave one's place of birth and join one's destiny with the destiny of the Jewish people. Courage to spread light and loving kindness where there is darkness, and to lift up others, whomever they are. Those who we honor tonight exemplify these different forms of courage. We stand here profoundly grateful for their bravery and their service, committed to walk in their path.
Johan a toujours été un garçon très indépendant, depuis tout petit. Et à l'âge de 17 ans, il nous a déjà parlé de faire son alien et de partir en Israël. 17 ans.
הוא מאוד 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 רצה להיות לוחם. היה את התחושת משויכות הזאת בחלום הישראלי, ובעיקר הרצון לתרום ולהיות חלק מהסיפור של מדינת ישראל. לקראת סוף השירות, כשהוא יכל להשתחרר, ופרצה מלחמת לבנון השנייה, והוא החליט להישאר. הדלקתי את הטלפון וראיתי המון שיחות מאנשים שלא תמיד מתקשרים אליי. הבנתי שמשהו קרה. בשבילי יואן הוא דוגמה לקחת את החלום שלך וללכת איתו עד הסוף.
J'aurais pas imaginé une seconde que mon fils, que j'ai vu partir, allait devenir ce qu'il est devenu. Et toutes les anecdotes qu'on m'a rapportées de ce qu'il a pu faire, de ce qu'il a pu dire, de ce qu'il a pu écrire, je me dis et je me répète encore, est-ce que c'est réellement mon fils ?
Her life was all about determination. She held her head high. If she wanted to do something or she thought that something was right or needed to be fixed or said, she did it. Her biggest two things were chesed, which is kindness, and tzedakah, giving charity. She always held her Jewish perspective high and first and was very proud of being a Jew, and she didn't hide it. Lori was the epitome of the Ashes Chayil.
There's been yet another fatal shooting at an American synagogue, this time in California. A gunman opened fire inside the Chabad synagogue in Poway on Saturday, killing one woman and injuring 3 other people, including the rabbi. San Diego officials say 61-year-old Lori Gilbert Kay died at the scene as her husband, a doctor, tried to resuscitate her.
After the shooting, large groups of people went and tried to do a Torah mitzvah. They did things like light candles for Lori, do a kind deed for Lori, give to charity for Lori. Lori died in her own way as a hero and as an example of what Jewish people do in this world. She represented the spiritual part of Judaism, not only in this community, but throughout the world.
סרגי הכרתי בחצי קרים, אז הייתה אוקראינה, ההורים שלנו היו חברים.
Получилось так, что я встретила наших знакомых, и они рассказали, что их сын, вот этот самый Михаэль Исерлис, уехал в Израиль. Я предложила Сереже, говорю, тебе интересно было бы поехать по программе? Он тут же загорелся, ему было очень интересно, он захотел, да, я хочу попробовать.
באיזשהו שלב קיבלתי טלפון מסרגי, הוא התקשר, מאוד שמחתי לשמוע, ושאל לי אם הוא יכול להגיע אליי בשבת ככה. ואיזושהי תקופה לא שמעתי עליו שום דבר, עד שקיבלתי טלפון מההורים, שסיפרה לי שסרגי נהרג, וכמובן זה היה בשבילי שוק.
Вот, и нас встречает уже военнослужащий. Его нашли под заваленными, врачами ноги.
Момент просто не описать вам.
אני לוקח ילדים מכפר הירוק כל שנה לבקר את הקבר של סרגי, ואני אומר לילדים שבזכות אנשים כמוהו, יש לכם זכות לעלות קודם כל לארץ, יש לכם את המדינה, ואנחנו יכולים עכשיו לדבר, אנחנו יכולים עכשיו לחיות, לחייך.
В кибуце когда мы все собираемся, и тут эти ребята, вот я им говорила, вы просто вот остались для меня одной командой, и такое чувство, что Сережа среди них.
רחוק מכאן ואני מחכה לך או ילד שלי בעולם ציפור אדם כמו כולם מחפש את מטוס שטס בשמיים, כל כוכב מאיר בעיניים. מזכיר לי אותך. אך לי לפני הגשם, צרצרים בשעות הערב, יחכו לך.
The song we just heard, Tamid Yechaku Lecha, gives voice to the longing of a parent waiting for their child to return home. Thank you very much to the musical ensemble, Shuli Koren, musical director and keyboard, Dana Tar on the guitar, Roni Parnas percussion, Atalia Pierce vocals, Shalev Bruce vocals, and Chen Danino vocals as well. I am now honored to invite Mr. Isaac Herzog, chairman of the executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel, to say a few words.
אחים ואחיות מכל העולם, brothers and sisters from all over the world, friends from the Jewish Federations of North America, friends from Keren HaYesod all over the world, brothers and sisters in Jewish communities wherever you are. Dear bereaved families, Masa fellows and alumni, sisters and brothers in Jewish communities around the world, I will never forget that cold evening of February 4th, 1997. I was standing beside then the opposition leader and former Prime Minister and Defense Minister Shimon Peres, and terrible reports began to reach us. We hoped and prayed they were not true. 2 IDF helicopters had crashed near the Lebanese border, carrying 73 soldiers. The entire country began to mourn. One of those soldiers was Staff Sergeant Gideon Posner, son of Charles and Paulina, from the United Kingdom. Gideon chose to leave his family in London, come to Israel and serve in the Orev Commando Unit. His spirit, enthusiasm, and deep sense of mission inspired his fellow soldiers. On that cold evening, Gideon fell to the ground as he flew to defend our borders. Tonight, we remember Gideon and all of the fallen IDF soldiers, as well as all of the victims of terror in Israel and Jewish communities around the world. We especially remember tonight the lone soldiers who fell in the line of duty in our War of Independence here in Latrune, Holocaust survivors who walked out of the gates of hell alone, fought to reach the gates of Jerusalem. My late father, Chaim Herzog, of blessed memory, who fought at Latume and later served as Israel's 6th president, often told us of the bravery of these lone soldiers, some of whom barely spoke any Hebrew, but who are ready to lay down their lives for the rebirth of the Jewish state. And he told us of Colonel David Mickey Marcus, the American colonel who became Israel's first IDF general, helped break the siege of Jerusalem and fell on these hilltops around us. Tonight, we walk in their footsteps and in the footsteps of all the lone soldiers who gave their lives so that we could live here in freedom. We tell their stories, we remember them and cry with their families, and for all whose lives will never be the same. They are the modern heroes of the Jewish state and Jewish history, and they will live on in the story of our people forever. Today, approximately 1,200 lone soldiers serve in the IDF. Many are supported by the Jewish agency which I have the honor to lead. I say to them, you walk in their footsteps, bedarkam, the values of which these soldiers fell, of arvut adadit, mutual responsibility towards the Jewish people and the Jewish state, are alive in the fellows and alumni of Masa, especially those who have come to Israel this year despite the challenges of COVID. The Jewish Agency is very proud to be a partner in Masa together with the government of Israel and to work with you, Masa fellows, who contribute so much to Israel's society, strength, economy, and future. Let us all remember the fallen soldiers. May the memory of all those who fell be a blessing. Yehi zichram baruch. And thank you.
Those who we honor here tonight inspire us in their lives and in their deaths, in their beliefs, their words, and their actions. We stand in awe of their ideals, their spirit, and their resilience, and we aim to live up to their values by sharing the lessons they taught, realizing their dreams of improving the world, and encouraging others to walk in their path. They live not only in our memories, but in the countless lives that have been impacted by initiatives, programs, and acts of kindness, chesed, created in their honor, inspired by their example.
ביום העצמאות, בטקס חלוקת פרסי ישראל, ישבתי בביתי והסתכלתי איך צביקה לוי, אבי החיילים הבודדים, מקבל פרס ישראל.
לפני 16 שנה וחצי חיילת בשם ג'ולי ויינר, עולה מצרפת, יצא מקיבוץ זיקים לגמד אחד להתחיל קורס קצינים, ואמרה לי, צביקה, בוחנים אותי על שיר התקווה, אתה רוצה אולי לשיר איתי? אמרתי לה בשמחה, ואני שרתי בית, והיא שרה בית, ושהגיעה להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, נגדע קולה, ויותר לא שמעתי אותה.
הסיפור נגע לי כל כך, ואמרתי, מה אני יכולה לעשות? יש לי פה בית בקיסריה. לבית הזה יכול להנציח את זכרה של ג'ולי. לבית הגיעו 4 חיילות, אחר כך גם 6, ו6 משפחות בקיסריה אימצו כל אחת חיילת אחרת, ואני מקווה שיפתחו עוד ועוד בתים שכאלה, וזה משהו שלג'ולי לא היה, ובזכות המיזם הזה היא תונצח לתמיד.
הגענו לארץ כשהוא היה בן 9, ילד מאושר, מלא חברים, חלום של אמא. ילד עם נחישות. הוא ידע בדיוק מה הוא רוצה, אם היה את הבגרות המלאה, אם זה היה להתקבל לאן שהוא רוצה בצבא, הוא השיג מה שהוא רצה. ב-30 לינואר 1997 הוא נסע לצריפין להתקיל עוד פעם את המבדקים. המפקד שלו, דותן כהן, אמר לו שלא יהיה מספיק זמן לעשות את הכל. בוא תעלה איתנו ללבנון, ואז בדרך חזרה תצא לקורס קצינים הבא. לא היה קורס קצינים, הוא עדיין בקבע.
השעה 7 בערב, 2 מסוקי תובלה מדגם יסעור בדרכם לפעילות מבצעית בלבנון. מסיבה שאינה ברורה, התנגשו 2 המסוקים בשמי המושב שאר ישוב.
מדובר בתאונה קשה, יש בתאונה כ-70 הרוגים.
ואז אמירן לוין, שהיה מפקד הגזרה, אומר שפותקים את כל הטלפונים ואת כל הקווים כדי שהחיילים שבלבנון יתקשרו הביתה. כשהוא לא התקשר, ידענו. אנחנו בדיוק באזור איפה שהמסוק שלו נפל, באנדרטה לזכר 73 נופלים באסון המסוקים, ופה מאחוריי השמות של כולם, כל אחד מהם. כשהתחלנו לבנות את האנדרטה היפה הזאת, וראיתי את 73 הסלעים הענקיים האלה, ואז התחלתי להרגיש את המספר. חבל על הילדים האלו, חבל. עד יום מותה אמא שלי הייתה עונה לטלפון. לא, אלו, אלא אלה.
We will now commence the wreath-laying ceremony. The wreath of the bereaved families will be laid by Benji Singer, brother of Alex Singer, may his memory be a blessing, accompanied by Sam Spire from Texas, United States, a Masa Israel teaching fellow, and Margarita Charnitskaya from Belarus, master status Tel Aviv, Israel experience. The wreath of the Jewish Federations of North America will be laid by Director General JFNA, Senior Vice President, Israel and Overseas, Rebecca Caspi, together with Ori Gorshoni from Florida, USA, Masa Year of Service Fellow, and Lauren Shobe from Canada, Masa Year of Service Fellow. The wreath of Keren Hayesod, United Israel Appeal, will be laid by Keren Hayesod World Chairman Sam Grundwerk, accompanied by Hannah Sabag from Guatemala, a Maccabi Shnat Hachshara Fellow, and Abigail Stern from France, an Israel Experience Stagiarim Fellow. The wreath of the Jewish Agency for Israel will be laid by Chairman of the Executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel, Isaac Herzog, together with Jonathan Toib from Pennsylvania, USA, an Israel Experience Career Fellow, and Naomi Elbaz from France, an Israel Experience Stagiarim Fellow. The wreath of Masa Israel Journey will be laid by Masa Acting CEO Ofer Gutman, together with Hillel Schwartz from Massachusetts, USA, a current Masa Fellow on a YTVA Gap Year program. Hillel is the brother of Ezra Schwartz, may his memory be a blessing, who was murdered in a terrorist attack while on a Masa Ashrenu Yeshiva Gap Year program in 2015. They will be accompanied by Kristen Chauskina from Belarus, Master Status Tel Aviv, Israel Experience Fellow, and Ilan Lysarik from San Diego, USA, Maccabi Olami Gap Program. The wreath of the government of Israel will be laid by Avi Paulino from the USA and the Dominican Republic, a Masa Israel Teaching Fellow, and Lily Horn from Connecticut, USA, a Masa Israel Teaching Fellow. The wreath of the Knesset will be laid by Evgeny Postapenko from Russia, Start Tlalim Fellow, and Tirset Tulu from France, an Israel Experience Stagiarim Fellow. We will now hear remarks from Ms. Shelley Kupfer, Chair of National Women's Philanthropy at the Jewish Federations of North America.
Good evening. I'm Shelley Kupfer, the Chair of National Women's Philanthropy for the Jewish Federations of North America. We at JFNA want to pay tribute and honor Israel's fallen soldiers and members of security services and victims of terrorism. These brave men and women paid the ultimate price in defending and supporting the land of Israel. We owe so much to them and their families. We especially remember the Olim, those individuals who left their home countries to make Aliyah and start a new life in Israel. They chose to join the IDF and protect the Jewish homeland. We honor their sacrifice and commitment to the state of Israel. May their memories always be a blessing.
On Memorial Day, we honor the legacy of those who fell, a legacy that lives on in memories, in letters, drawings, and photographs, and in the hearts of every person whose lives they touched. A legacy of friendship, of overcoming every challenge, of living life to the fullest, of the enduring generosity to others, of Aliyah and passionate Zionism, and of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. And while we feel the pain of their loss every day, we know that their legacies have become a part of the legacy of the Jewish people and society at large that will be passed down from generation to generation.
Yoni was one of these young people who was very, very busy. He was helping so many people do so many things. He was constantly busy. He ran B'nai Akiva, he was Rosh of B'nai Akiva. He would help anybody who needed help with their homework. He was tutoring with no pay, all different subjects. He was just a natural leader and the kids just adored him. He was just a people person. His decision to make Aliyah was really to go to Israel for a year or two and to study in yeshiva. And he was coming back to London to study medicine.
A British student who was injured when a suicide bomber blew himself up on a bus in Israel has died.
We were sitting together and we were discussing the fact that, what's going to happen now Yoni's not here anymore. And we need to do something in memory of him, and what could we do? And so we came up with the idea to get other young people to follow in Yoni's footsteps. We decided that that was going to be the main aim of the foundation, was to try and reflect Yoni's character and also to bring young people in, because he was great with young people. We absolutely unanimously felt that Yoni did so much for so many people, and he was going to become a doctor, and he would have done everything he could to save lives and to help anybody he could, and that this was his one final opportunity to do something and to leave not just the legacy that he has left, but an extra legacy.
When Alex walked into a room, he was 3 years old. The room could be full of adults, and everybody would turn to this child that was walking in with this big smile and this great desire to communicate with everybody there. That's the memory of Alex. He was a joyous, very joyous child.
We were all born in New York and grew up in New York. I was the youngest of four. Alex was the second.
He went to college and got into a program that allowed him to choose anything in the whole of Cornell University. There are landmarks in his life, but basically he was always exploring what would be a useful life for him. He didn't know what he wanted to, but he wanted to make his life here because he thought this was a place that had to exist. He had seen the Soviet Union, who were desperate, Jews were desperate to leave, and he wanted to be part of making this place for every Jew.
Alex became an officer relatively quickly. He went directly to sergeant's course and directly to officer school.
He was very anxious to be an officer with command responsibilities. He felt that that was the way you influence people.
Alex definitely put in our family this first stone of what is our legacy in Israel.
As terrible a loss that it was to have Alex killed, he left us so much, and we were aware of this at the Shiva. People kept coming with the letters, they never threw them out.
Even with very little time during army maneuvers, he would stop and write a letter or write in the diary or draw a picture. Even though he was killed on his 25th birthday, there is really a lifetime of work. It's still inspiring today for a lot of people.
That's what he did.
We will now hear a special performance by Raviv Kaner of his song Resisim, Fragments. Raviv served in the elite IDF Egoz unit and fought in Gaza in Operation Protective Edge in 2014, where he lost 4 close friends. His song about memory opens with the words, "Not hesitating, just jumping into the fire. What did we want to ask for? Just to receive and to give what we had, to hold in our hands every day that passes."
אלוהים בעיניים רק קופצים לאש, מה כבר רצינו לבקש, לקבל ולתת מה שיש, להחזיק בידיים כל יום שעובר, תמיד הוא ככה ממהר. אני איש מאחר, רק בלילות עולים קולות, שאלות אבודות מחפשות תשובה, מה שעוד לא בא. רסיסים, למה זיכרונות נמסים, כמה שאני לא כיסיתי זה נכנס לי בתריסים, ואין על מי לשים את הראש, גם אם לא שברתי שילמתי, לך תמצא על מי לכעוס. אין אוויר בשמיים, איך אפשר לנשום, הכל תקוע במקום, אבל עוד לא הפסקתי לחלום. אז קפצתי למים כי צריך לשחות, במים לא רואים דמעות, במים ישקעו חולות שזוכרים רק בלילות, עולים קולות, שאלות אבודות מחפשות תשובה, בקרוב זה בא. רסיסים, למה זיכרונות נמסים, כמה שאני לא כיסיתי זה נכנס לי בתריסים, ואין על מי לשים את הראש, גם אם לא שברתי שילמתי, לך תמצא על מי לכעוס. שאלות ועכשיו זה בוא. מסיסים, למה זיכרונות נמסים? כמה שאני לא כיסיתי זה נכנס לי בתריסים, ואין על מי לשים את הראש. גם אם לא שברתי שילמתי, לך תמצא על מי לכעוס.
Thank you, Raviv. I now invite Cantor Daniel Kotov to recite the El Maleh Rachamim prayer, and I will ask everyone in the audience to please rise.
El Maleh Rachamim שוכן במרומים המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים טהורים וגיבורים כזוהר הרקיע מאירים ומזהירים לנשמות חללי מערכות ישראל שנפלו במלחמות ישראל בפעולות הגנת הגמול וביטחון בעת מילוי תפקידם ובעת שירותם ושחרפו נפשם למות על קדושת השם ובעזרת אלוהי מערכות ישראל הביאו לתקומת האומה והמדינה ולגאולת הארץ ועיר האלוהים ולכל מי שנרצחו בארץ ומחוצה לה בידי מרצחים מארגוני הטרור בעבור שאנו מתפללים לעילוי נשמותיהם בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם אדוני הוא נחלתם וינוחו בשלום על משכבותם ויעמדו לגורלם לקץ הימין ונאמר אמן.
יציג את נשקו. הצג, שק. משמר יעבור לנוח. עמוד, נוח.
The Kaddish memorial prayer will now be recited by Benji Singer, brother of Alex Singer. May his memory be a blessing.
משמר יעבור לדום, משמר דום.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה. בעלמא דיברה חירותי ואמליך חוטי ויצמח פורקני ויקרב משיחי. בחייכון ויומכון בחיי דחות בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב ואמו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם על מי אלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מכל ברכתה, שירתה, תושבחתה, נחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה, חיים ושבע וישועה ונחמה ושיזופה ורפואה וגאולה וסליחה וכפרה ורווח והצלה לנו וכל עמו ישראל ואמו אמן. עושה שלום ברמומיו וברחמיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ואמו אמן.
משמר יעבור לנוח, עמוד נוח.
Please be seated. Mr. Ilan Cohen, chairman of the board of Masa and one of Masa's founders, will now share a special message followed by Masa fellows and alumni from around the world who will share what Yom HaZikaron means to them.
Every year, we gather here at Latrune, Masa fellows, leaders and friends, representatives of the Israeli government and global Jewish communities to commemorate Yom HaZikaron. This year, we once again cannot gather here in large numbers due to the coronavirus. However, while we cannot be together tonight in person, we join together in our hearts as one. Masa fellows and alumni in Israel and across the globe have shared their reflections and feelings on this day of national mourning and remembrance, which together with the joyous celebrations of Yom HaAtzmaut is such a central part of the Israeli experience and such a powerful expression of the ties of solidarity which bind us all together. Here they are in their own words.
Tonight, on Yom HaZikaron,
we come together as one family.
Wherever we are, in Israel and around the world,
to remember our sisters and brothers
who fought for the 2,000-year-old dream
of living free in our homeland.
So that the Jewish people everywhere would always have a home.
We stand in silence and hear their voices.
We remember their smiles, their laugh, and their touch.
We honor the values for which they stood and the ideals for which they fell.
We hug their mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers,
for whom life will never return to normal,
for whom joy will forever be mixed with tears.
We promise to pass on their stories and walk in their path by strengthening the bonds of the Jewish people,
continuing to serve Israel and by serving humanity as a whole.
Their memories are the beacon
that lead us on our journey.
We follow in their footsteps.
We walk by their light.
The path shaped by those who we have lost has become the cherished road we travel as we build our modern state in our ancient homeland, as we remain strong in communities around the world. Their footsteps are the bridge that connects between all parts of the diverse Jewish family in Israel and across the globe. And while we are looking forward to being able to meet again soon in person, tonight their memory brings us together and leads the way. Their memory is a pathway to our shared future. Thank you to the thousands of people from around the world who joined us for this special and moving event. And thank you to the bereaved families for sharing with us the lives of their loved ones. We will forever treasure those who have fallen, and we will always strive to be worthy of their legacy. May their memory be a blessing. Yehi Zachram Baruch. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now stand together here in Israel and across the world for the singing of the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva.
Yeah.
המשמר יכתיב את נשקו. הכתב שק. המשמר יציג את נשקו. הצג שק. המשמר יעבור לנוח. עמוד נוח.
You may now be seated. This marks the end of Masa's Yom HaZikaron ceremony. Thank you all for being with us. Toda Rabah.